Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up for you. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. Make sure you join us in the Freedom Zone today. Click that join button underneath the title or down in the description box and join us on Patreon or YouTube. Same price, same material, same perks and benefits. Every daily video with 0 Google ads. They're all gone. And let me tell you, extra content as well. And today we're getting into it. Currency wars, extended content. You're going to want to join us today. Let's get into this. $2.8 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency right now. The market's off 1.4. 86,200 plus for Bitcoin, 1,600 plus for Ethereum. XRP number 4 spot, $2.18. We're up 1.9 on the 24-hour. We're up 11.4 on the 7-day. Let's take a look at the range of price. The range of price right now between 211 and 218. We're at the top side of that range, and I like it. And I tell you something, you know, in a moment like this, everyone is thinking about legislation being passed and signed. Everyone's thinking about being able to finally cash out their shallow bags, take a little profit, start to do the things you want to do. But remember, if you've been here or if you haven't been here, exchanges will freeze up. They will lock up and you can't get access to your account or assets because they become so overwhelmed with orders that you can't get your order through. It happens. It's happened every time that there's a bull run. And I tell you what, that's one of the reasons a digital asset investor and myself have been looking for years. And for the last 3 years, we've been watching Caleb and Brown very closely. And after long discussions, long due diligence, we know that they work with the SEC out of Australia. We know that they're registered properly. All the audience members that have used them for years have told us that they're great. We've done the work, and that's why we have found them now. This is the right time before this market takes off. And let me tell you, not only is it like nice to know that you have institutional grade custody, but hear it from Caleb and Brown themselves. You get the personalized crypto service. That's what you get.
Not only do you have a platform that you can log into and enter your trades, but when you need assistance, you've got a whole team there ready to support you through that. So you've got your broker who's there to help strategize with you, working out what's going to be best for you. And then you've got the support team. If you have any general questions that we can help with, we're there for you. You know, you can start a chat or give us a call.
Caleb and Brown, they're there for you in every way. You can give them a call. All you got to do is go to xrpwealth589.com and click the link to get started. Let me tell you, or click the link underneath the video. This is remarkable. There's no other exchange that offers the ability to speak to a human being. Imagine when the markets go crazy, exchanges freeze up, you pick up the phone and you do what not one other crypto holder can do on another platform and call your rep. That's what you do. Yeah, it's amazing. Let's get started right here. This is Jim Rickards. I told you today was going to be a conversation about currency wars broadly. We're getting into it right here. Let's hear what Jim says for all the gold bugs out here and the repricing of gold. Take a listen.
Portfolio, but a lot of the gold bugs go, well, here's what's going to happen. China's going to get all this gold, build their own infrastructure, the AIIB. They're going to make the yuan a gold-backed currency, and they're going to announce this as a big surprise and run the dollar off the road, and the price of gold is going to go up to $10,000 an ounce. Gold is going to go to $10,000 an ounce, but not for the reason I just described. Everything I just described is exactly what's not going to happen. What China's doing, China wants to be in the club. We're in a club, right? You're probably all members of clubs. China wants to be in the big club, which is the IMF, the United States. They want to be in that club. But the U.S. is holding a black ball. We're like, well, we might let you in our club, maybe we won't. What kind of behavior can we expect from you? In other words, we're using that as a quid pro quo. So China is over here building their own club. You know, a lot of clubs in the United States were started because some wealthy applicant couldn't get in the existing club. He said, heck with you, I'll build my own club, right? And that becomes exclusive. So China's doing both things at once. They want to get in the existing club, But just in case they can't, they're building their own club. So they're much more subtle, much more sophisticated. Now, what is the United States saying as the price of letting China in the club? And again, to the gentleman's question, putting the Chinese yuan in the SDR and giving China more votes at the IMF, which is what they want, that's what's in play. The Congress is holding up the legislation to give China more votes. And the White House says, you know, those Tea Party guys in the House, you can't reason with them, they're standing in the way. Nonsense. You don't think if the White House wanted this, they could get it through? Barney Frank slipped a $100 billion line of credit for the IMF in a defense appropriation bill in 2009. Believe me, if the White House wants it, they could get it done. But it's very convenient for the White House to blame the Tea Party, so then they go to the Chinese and go, oh, those crazy Tea Party people, they're standing in the way. They're not. The White House is deliberately slow-rolling this so they can get concessions out of China. What's the concession? They want to peg the yuan to the dollar. They want China to stop fighting the currency wars. They want China to stop promoting their economy and growing their exports by cheapening their currency. If you notice, Chinese economy is collapsing. I mean, their growth is coming down really fast. It's not falling off the face of the earth, but they're down from 10% to 8% to 7%. They're probably going to come in below 7. Bad debts are piling up. The Shanghai stock. There's a lot of trouble on the waterfront in China.
And this is a little older and things have gotten worse for China, but keep listening. It's all still relevant because, listen, gold is going to underpin a lot of this monetary shift. Keep going here.
China would normally just cut their currency, promote their exports. They haven't done that. A lot of people are short the yuan. I think they're going to be disappointed. China's maintaining the peg to the dollar. That's the price of poker. That's what the U.S. wants to see. So the U.S. is saying to China, hey, if you guys are on your best behavior, we'll let you into the yuan. That will probably probably be announced in October at the October annual meeting of the IMF it's in Lima, Peru this year, and then be effective January 1st. So now China's in the club. At some point, they'll slide this legislation through Congress. China will get more votes in the IMF. But what won't happen is China will reveal their gold, and the price of gold will skyrocket on that news alone. Again, gold's going to go up, but for different reasons at a different time. Because the deal with the club is you have to have the gold. You have to have the gold, but don't talk about it. The gold is plan B. Paper money is plan A. And the United States is saying to China, you want to be in the paper money club, that's fine, come on in. We'll give your paper money a seal of approval by including it in the SDR. The fact that you have 7,000 to 8,000 tons of gold is great. That's your admission price for getting in the club. By the way, the U.S. and others have been working together to keep the price of gold down until China can get their gold. Once China gets their gold, they're in the club, and then nobody talk about it. So this is a lot deeper. And again, this is not conspiracy stuff. You can tease all this out of available information over portfolio.
Absolutely. Listen, I think this is so spot on. Even though this is a few years old here, this is still relevant to where we are, even more relevant to his points about where we are today. But he said, you know, the paper money, you got to have the paper money, then you got to have the gold. Well, you know what? There's more going on today because innovation and technology allows it. And today you got to have the gold, not because of the paper money, but because the paper money is going to turn digital. Stay with me here. Trump administration says U.S. may buy Bitcoin using tariff revenue, and it also talks about buying it off of the difference between the revaluation of gold as well. Take a listen.
But then I've also seen Letnick and others talk about this idea of, well, maybe there's external revenue that we can drive and be able to use that. And so, like, how are you guys maybe from a framework standpoint thinking about, okay, what are the ways that we could go buy more Bitcoin?
Well, I think that Senator Lummis has really an interesting idea with the Bitcoin Act of 2025, which I know has taken the community by storm. But here, what you would do is you'd revalue the gold certificates that we currently have at Treasury. Most of which are valued, I think, around like $43 an ounce, which is, you know,
A lot lower than what it's really worth.
Correct. Yeah. So now we're sitting at what, $3,100 an ounce, with being the price of gold. And if you took that value, what you could do is use that extra funding in order to buy more Bitcoin that could be used for the reserve. But that's just one idea. And, you know, that's currently circulating its way through Capitol Hill, and we'll see how many co-sponsors she can get and how she can pull her colleagues on board. But we're looking at many creative ways, whether it be from, you know, tariffs, whether it be from something else. I mean, there's literally countless ways in which you can do this. And, you know, I'll defer to, you know, some of our members inside of the interagency working group to see what ideas they come up with inside of
Well, that would be a good idea because a lot of those ideas aren't very good. Listen, let's understand this. I don't say this from a maxi point of view. If you reprice the gold in Fort Knox to current prices today, and then use that pricing of gold to shed off some of the gold and to buy a position in Bitcoin, I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's a horrible idea. Here's one of the reasons I think it's a horrible idea. One, we know gold is over $3,000 of an ounce right now, but the audit still hasn't been done at Fort Knox on all the gold. So let's take apart that for a second. If we find out that the gold in Fort Knox has been oversold to versus the paper products that are sold on gold, let's say 3 or 4 times oversold, then the gold is going to have to double, triple, or quadruple in price to accommodate how many paper product investment products have been written and sold on the same bar of gold. So acting like there's money there just by revaluing gold doesn't necessarily solve your problem to just start buying Bitcoin with gold being revalued. It's a bit of an immature thought process, if I'm being completely honest. Now, outside of that, using tariff revenue generated to purchase Bitcoin, I think has to be dealt with as a conversation in Congress, because you are taking money away from the taxpayers to purchase that Bitcoin or XRP. For me, that's why I think this has got to be thought out a little better than this. Congress could actually just put a bill together to buy the Bitcoin on a schedule, the same way that we have like an escrow schedule. So we'll see what comes of it here, but there's a lot left, and these ideas are not very fresh feeling to me at all. Nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that we are in a currency war. It doesn't change the fact that we are in a tariff trade war, and it doesn't change the fact that we are going to come out the other side of this. History says so. Is there going to be some pain on it? Absolutely. But what's the gain? The gain is getting our country back in a way we haven't had it in decades. This is Jim Rickards again, and he says there's a choice, 2 choices in a currency war. Take a listen at what they are.
The world is not always in a currency war, but when we are, they can last a very long time. What I describe as Currency War I lasted from 1921 to 1936. What I described as Currency War II lasted from 1967 to 1987 with the Louisville Accord following the Paris Accord. Currency War, so one was 15 years, one was 20 years. Currency War III began in 2010, and if you go out 15 years, we're looking at 2025 to 2030. The reason currency wars last so long, they have no logical conclusion. They have no logical conclusion. The only way a currency war ends is either the system collapses or you reform the system. You can reform the system as we did at Bretton Woods, or as we did at the Smithsonian Agreement, the Plaza Accord, and the Louisville Accord in the 80s, or you can let the system collapse, as happened in 1914, 1939. So those are your 2 choices.
And they're not going to let it collapse, I don't believe. I think what they're going to do is reform the system. And why do I feel that way? Because the U.S. Treasurer today, Scott Bessent, said that we are going to see a grand new economic reordering, a new Bretton Woods, and that's why he took the job. So this gets exciting. But how are we going to see a new Bretton Woods? Well, Bretton Woods is what established the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency, because we have more gold and less debt than everybody else after the war. So now we're moving into an age where the currency wars and manipulation has been going on for decades now, between China and the U.S. primarily, and we could see all of that come to an end as we move to the new digital on-chain economy. And that means stablecoins. That means CBDCs, and it gets better. The Ripple's Real USD stablecoin has witnessed a surge over 100% in its trading volume thanks to recent developments, and that's nothing to where we're going. Then you have this announcement, which was back in November. Remember Societe Generale? Forge has announced the launch of its Euro CV stablecoin on the XRPLedger in 2025. And then the Ripple custody powering the integration of Euro CV will benefit from the near instant settlement, low fee, scalability, and security of the XRPLedger. And then what do we see here? I said yesterday, I want to remind everybody in April, that was November, the world is a big place. The world is a big place. And then what did we see? We saw Cassie Craddock from Ripple on stage. This is what she said to remind everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Cassie Craddock, Managing Director for the UK and Europe at Ripple. I've been at Ripple for 8 years now, so it's been quite the journey from, convincing banks to partner on a network to send cross-border payments, right through to being able to provide banks and financial institutions end-to-end digital asset infrastructure through payments, through custody, through stablecoin, and through tokenization use cases that we're going to talk about today. I think what's really been interesting from a Ripple perspective, I'm responsible for Europe, and I think what we've seen over the last year, 18 months, 2 years or so is MiCA has really given banks and financial institutions this level of certainty to be able to lean into the blockchain and digital asset space. And so we've seen some really great innovative use cases on the back of that. So, we partnered with SOC Gen Forge.
We partnered with SOC Gen Forge. Take a listen.
Seen some really great innovative use cases on the back of that. So, we partnered with SOC Gen Forge, one of the leading banks here in France, firstly around custody, but now more broadly on issuing their Euro CV stablecoin on XRPLedger.
How about that? Currency wars, the innovation race, it's all right here. Why is it important to have stable coins or a CBDC? Because once you get your digital dollars represented on a ledger, let's say the XRP ledger or digital on-chain economy, however you like to think of it, but once you get these assets on there, you can introduce the bridge asset XRP. And then anyone who manipulates their currency can only affect the citizens in their own country, because XRP can sit as a buffer, an insulation, an insulator between everyone's currency. Dark Defender says here, Digital Pound partner with Ripple. Digital Euro Association partnered with Ripple. Well, we know FedNow's partnered with Ripple. And he says here, the second largest economy in the world is getting ready to use real euro, which will be backed by our precious XRP bridge currency, which really I think he went further down here to say, which will be using XRP, not backed by, right? And nice correction and conversation between Vet and Dark Defender there. The domino effect is on its way. Now, the RL Euro is actually Euro CV, as we covered, but nonetheless, he's absolutely right here. And this tells me that if you're going to have the major currencies represented on the XRP ledger, then this is where the new world's going. This is where the two largest economies of the world are going. The real USD, the Euro CV, everyone else's digital money will be here too. And when it is, then this is where the new economy of the world happens. That's the amazing part of this. And as I said, with XRP in the middle of it all, the world can function just as it does, but without the manipulation from country to country. Google says they will enforce MiCA-compliant crypto ad rules across Europe starting April 23rd. That's coming up quick, 8 days away. Real USD is MiCA-compliant in Europe. Come on in. This is getting exciting. And then this is a quick reminder here from Brad Garlinghouse.
I'm not exactly clear how it's all going to play out. You're seeing countries experiment and test. Ripple has partnered with several central banks around the world. Some we've announced, some we haven't yet announced.
Ripple's partnered with several central banks around the world. Don't forget, FedNow is run by the Federal Reserve. Ripple is a part of FedNow. They are working with the Federal Reserve. Some they've announced, some they haven't. This is all still to come. But you know what? Knowing that we're supposed to have legislation passed and signed by August, or certainly sometime before the next round of elections take place, well, what does this market look like then? And more importantly, what does the world look like? Because I don't believe this is being done so people can just get rich on digital asset investing. I think this is being done because the world needs a new monetary system, and that's going to mean a new Bretton Woods, and that's going to mean new things like bridge currencies, sitting in between the world's money without threatening it. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the freedom zone. Oh my goodness, this currency war business is going to be continued, ladies and gentlemen. And how about eliminating income tax? Oh, we got it for you in here today. The petrodollar, we're going to go on it. I hope you will join us. Again, not financial advice from me or anyone else. Come on in. All right, welcome